Hello everyone. I've made this video to show you how to do a few things that I've already showcased. If you follow me on Twitter, if you don't, link in description, just follow me. I usually, showcase what I do before doing tutorials. In this case, the latest thing that I showed was the fake HUD for the HEV suit. When I say fake HUD, I mean that it's not a real HUD, as in, something that you can interact with, or that it, shows you like a normal health bar. It's entities, hammer entities that can move, can change their transparency, and things like that. It's just things attached to the player. So in that sense, it's a fake HUD. And so, to get started, also link in description, my GitHub page, you're gonna find models. These models are these ones. For the HUD, you're just gonna have to import them, in your model folder in your add-on. I will assume that you are familiar with the model editor. I can't make a tutorial on everything, but there should be some there should be some documentation, but you don't really need to do much. You just copy it in your model folder, like I have it here. You copy them and you go here. If they don't show properly, you just go for a full recompile and they should actually show up properly. So also one other thing that I wanted to say is about the sound events. Apparently there is a bug with sound events that makes it necessary to do a full recompile of the sound event every time you open Half-Life Alyx tools. It's a nuisance, but it has also other implications that, as far as I've heard, I haven't uploaded any add-ons to the workshop, but as far as I've heard, if you have a custom sound event file right now, you have to open the map, reload the map every time you open it, if you want the custom sound to work. It's a similar bug to one that was in the bootleg tools. Half-Life Alyx tools are still in beta, so things are going to change. But as of now, there's this bug that you need to be aware of, because this add-on uses uses some custom sound, for example the long initialization sequence for the HEV suit. So if you are not gonna use the long sequence, this tutorial is actually not really useful for you, except for the HUD. But if you are gonna use the long sequence with all the fancy stuff that show up in front of the player, you're just gonna have to download this prefab. So there is a thing with hammer prefabs that is pretty annoying, that when you create a prefab and then you collapse it, it changes the name of everything in the prefab. So as of right now, this has the correct name, and when you go ahead and collapse the prefab, it uses a prefix which breaks the script. Right now, there are two solutions. You can go and change every name of every entity of the prefab, or you can change the script. In that case, I'm gonna be quick and I'm gonna do that. If you want, you just do that because it's a random prefix. I don't know what when you collapse it, what number it's gonna make. So if you just change all these names here, save, change all of them in these two scripts, just these two, HEV HUD and HEV startup display. You change to this and you save. You can use any text editor. Also, just a reminder, the scripts do not go into the content folder, they go in the game folder. Okay, HEV add-ons, HEV testing, or whatever it's called, your add-on scripts, these scripts here. And I do not know how it works for distribution on the workshop. If like you have to make a copy in the content folder, I have no idea. But if you don't get the scripts in the game folder, they don't work in the tools. So because I have not uploaded any add-ons to the workshop, I don't know if you have to place them also in the content folder for them to, you know, be used in the add-on. But you know, you'll figure it out. So instead of changing all these names, I did that here. Now, to try it out, to test it, we're gonna need some visual feedback, you know, to see if we've where the, you know, trigger to get the suit on is. I'm gonna use our friend Gordon here because, you know, I don't have an HEV suit model to use. I could rip one from Black Mesa, but you know, it's not right. So first of all, let's disable collisions. Default animation, I'm gonna use ref pose so it doesn't do anything weird, and I'm gonna change here to Gordon and it should work. Well, let's test this out. I'm gonna just do one more full recompile just to be sure. I'm gonna build this and let's see if everything works correctly. Let's cross our fingers. Fingers crossed. Let's go. This is good. Great. In VR, it looks a bit better, you know. You can see things in 3D. And great, yeah, it seems to be working fine. So, yeah, it is working. So, the next step, let's wait it for, okay, yeah, communication systems online, have a very safe day. Great. So everything else should be working also. If you do like Impulse 101, I have bound a key to it so that when I press I, it just does Impulse 101 and I can test weapons. So okay, we get under 50 of health. I don't have any more grenades. What do I do to harm myself? Well, I have no idea. Well, let's just test it with some triggers, okay? So, I have also included a, you know, the same radiation field. I don't know if I have updated it. I don't think I have. But you know, it works the same way as in the previous tutorial. So we're just gonna create a quick radiation zone. Alright, this is gonna be, what did I do? Come on. Okay, so we are just gonna, oh, where's the hierarchy now? Okay, great. So it's gonna be a trigger heart. Actually, we're gonna make it a damage of 1 type radiation. Where is radiation? Here. So this is gonna be normal, and we're just gonna leave it as is. We are gonna include a logic script. Okay, the name of the script is radiation field.lua, and the name of the entity I'm just gonna name it RAD1. So if you go into the trigger, you are gonna add an output, and let's say on start touch RAD1 call script function with a parameter override of enter zone, I think. Enter zone, yeah. Enter zone, you add one, and see, I mean, let's just copy and paste it, and let's do leave on and touch. Okay, also let's add a, let's just mute this iPad. Okay, so sorry. And on HUD we want the HEV HUD to call script function. What, didn't I mute you? Oh no, I didn't. That's how you mute. Okay, so call script function, and we're gonna call HEV HUD radiation indicator. That's the one. This is gonna show, you know, the radiation indicator on the HUD. I know having it in a trigger output, it's weird, but you know, this is just how we do that right now. The only way. Well, let's do on HUD player, because I don't know if you know, this thing actually the HUD, it should probably, it is better if you do with start touch. So let's do a start touch, and then we're gonna paste on end touch clear indicator, so it disables the radiation indicator after you leave the zone. Also on HUD player, because on HUD can hurt any entity. When the player is hurt, we want the HEV logic entity to call script function, which is something we already did with the previous tutorial, and we're gonna call HEV radiation. I think that's how it's called. You can look it up. Yeah, that's how it's called, and that's for the sound effect. So let's duplicate the trigger so that we can create a zone with a higher level of radiation inside the first one. It is once again important that you have the whole trigger inside the first trigger, because that's how the script works. So we're gonna make it like that. That's the external one. We want the internal one. The only thing that will change in this internal trigger is that we want to enter the critical zone. So it's enter critical and leave critical. That's just for the Geiger counter sound, okay? And as for the rest, I'm just gonna make the damage higher and change that, but you know, it's up to you. So let's test it out. Build. Of course you can create other zones like heat zones and biohazard zone and other zones, and they don't even need to have two triggers. They can have just one. You know, the double trigger thing is just with radiation, because you have the Geiger counter and you have different levels of radiation, you know. Oh, actually, I don't want it to play, you know, 2 times, like it's really long. So we're just gonna do HEV boot up quick, and what's going on? Okay. So I don't know if there was a problem with the recording, but my computer just froze for a second. So we want to also delete this if we don't want the trigger to call the long sequence. If we do that, make this boot up quick and delete the other output that we did, we're just gonna have the quick sequence. So it just makes a sound, you have the suit on, and everything is supposed to work. Okay, so ding. Okay, everything should work.
Warning, hazardous radiation
Whoa.
level detected, vital signs dropping.
Well, yeah, they are dropping. Let's do more damage.
Warning,
Vital signs critical.
Seek medical attention. Emergency. User death imminent.
Great, they're all working. That's a miracle. So that's basically it. So if you want to create any other zone, it's pretty simple. You make it a you make it into a trigger hurt, and you just change the kind of damage you want to do. In that case, in my case, I'm gonna just make a I don't know, a shock. And also you of course need to do like on hurt HEV logic entity call script function. That's gonna be like HEV electricity, if I remember correctly. You can look it up. HEV electricity. Yeah, that's the one. So you want the HUD to work, so you're gonna do HEV HUD call script function on start touch, remember, and it's gonna be shock indicator. That's the one. And on and touch, you're gonna have HEV HUD call script function, and that's gonna be a clear indicator, right? Let's test it out. Build. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay, we got it on, and yeah, of course, you can see the HUD is working. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Of course, you can change the post-processing effect if you want one, or you can just leave it empty, and it will follow the player. Okay, so it will remain active. If you want to have another post-processing, you just have to, you know, at some point remove this parenting. You know, I think it is done here. Yeah, in the trigger. This is the post-processing entity. you like, if at some point you want to change that, like the player gets its helmet out, and so it doesn't have the post-processing effect on, you can just like clear parent, I think, right? Clear parent, and it should work. It should work. Great. So I think that's just gonna be it for today. I'm gonna wrap up. Have a good day.